I said, I'll work on that.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sunnyside City Council regular meeting for today, December 9, 2024. For the record, all members of council are present and all members of staff except for our finance director, deputy city manager Zabel, who is on her way. And agenda approval. We do have one addition that has been requested to our agenda this evening, council, and that is for the addition of the final budget amendment. We have a packet here that was handed to us this evening. Is there objection to that item being added to the agenda?
No objection. No objection.
Okay, hearing none. Is there any other changes that council would like to make to tonight's agenda? Okay, that's hearing none. What is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Is that Ms. Frausto?
Yes.
All right, a motion by Councilor Hart, second by Councilor Frausto to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of the final budget amendment for the 2024 budget. Debate on this item. All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. By 2 vote aye, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is invocation, and I understand that we have someone to do the invocation. We'll ask you to approach the microphone. But I ask everyone to stand up for the invocation. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to be here. Thank you for everyone that is working so hard and doing such a great job here for our town. We even thank you for the great weather that we had this last weekend for the parade and how it turned out so nicely. Father, we just ask now that you would grant all of the city council members and the staff members the wisdom that they need to perform their jobs, that you would just help them in all the decisions that they need to make. And then, Father, we thank you for this time of year, this Christmas time, and help us to be mindful of the fact that the reason for the season is Jesus Christ. And so we pray that in all of the hustle and bustle, we would not lose sight of Jesus in this. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. First item on the agenda this evening is public comment. Citizens are advised that they should limit their remarks to council to 3 minutes. Council may refer items to staff to review and or research for presentation at a later meeting. We'll ask that you come and state your name and city of residence and then make your comments. I did not receive a list of who is signed up this evening. If somebody wanted to bring that to me, that would help. And for the record, Ms. Zabel has arrived. Thank you, sir. All right, first name on my list is Audrey. You can pull the microphone down so you can reach it there, Audrey. All right, state your name and what city you live in and then make your comments. Could you speak up? Everybody wants to hear you in the room.
Is that on?
Is it? Let's see if we can get that microphone working for you. That particular microphone's been a little touchy from time to time.
No, I don't know what she thought she was going to be doing to help fix it. Go rushing up there like she's some sort of whiz.
Sorry, Audrey.
Not a minute, girl.
In every organization, there's one person who can do everything, including magic. And in this organization, it's our city clerk.
Hey, Jackie.
All right, try again, Audrey.
Hello, my name is Audrey, and I would like to talk about the pool. I personally think that the pool should not be closed because it is a place for people to be social and make friends. It also is a place for people to get exercise, enrichment, and mental well-being. I personally am not on the swim team, but I do not want it to close because it is a summer favorite of mine to go swimming when I have summer break. When I have summer break, that's one of the things that I do because the school is not in session. The pool should stay open because there are a lot of kids who I even have gotten signatures from that do not want it to close, even if they are not on the swim team, and adults too. There are a lot of different people, even not on the swim team or who don't work for the pool, that really don't want it to close. I have some signatures that I would like to turn in that have, I'm pretty sure, over 120 of them.
All right, if you can hand those to Mr. Sanchez.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. She does have a lot of signatures. All right, the next person on my list is David Swales.
Hello, my name is David Swales. I live in Grandview. I own Valley Auto Parts here in Sunnyside, 201 North 6th Street. I just wanted to give a quick little update about the crime that we're going through here recently. Since the last time I came to council, my windows have been shot 2 more times, along with some other local businesses. But not here to really complain about that. Mainly here to thank the city manager and the police chief and the Sunnyside Police Department for the extra patrols and taking things seriously and trying to get the problem alleviated. Chief had told me once before, it's happen chance. And we just experienced that last week. Had officers in the area, and just a few moments later, somebody walking across the Hardware parking lot shot my window with a ball bearing again. Luckily, it didn't break. But anyways, but that's the main reason I'm here. Just thank you guys for stepping up and putting the extra patrols out there and helping the community try to fix this. I know myself and Britton Moore and some other community members are doing night patrols out till early hours of the morning. I was out till 4 o'clock this morning. That's when things really get pretty live. Friday night, it was pretty crazy. And I'm listening to the scanner. I don't know how they do it. There's not enough. They couldn't get done with one call before they were being called to another one and another, and it was like that all night long. But anyways, just want to say thank you.
Thank you, sir. Monica Niemeyer.
Monica Niemeyer, Sunnyside, Washington, and really quick, Audrey, right? Is it Audrey? You were really good. Everyone has a voice, but when you figure out that your superpower is your voice, you're going to go far. So good job, Miha. So I would like to talk to council about us moving forward, specifically what that means and what that looks like. I'm very happy to hear the words transparency, discussion, research, and dialogue. They're words that carry with them a direction of positive steps. But for those words to happen, to actually be able to put into action, I believe we must include the word accountability. To me, showing accountability is a way to achieve the success of the city moving forward. And it is something we need to start saying. So with that, I bring up the following individuals: Tom Dolan, Britton Moore, and Amy Rubio. Tom, Britton, and Amy have all applied to committees and have not received a response back for months, while there are others that have applied and have been appointed. As you know, the committees are appointed by the mayor. However, Tom and Britton have not received any communication from him, whether they've been declined, approved, or if additional information is needed. And as for Amy, her last communication from the mayor was in June, and the message simply read, "Still pending." So without communication, what's happening is becomes an interpretation of the reason why he's not acknowledging these duties. Those interpretations currently are having to fall on the shoulders of city staff and sometimes even fellow council members to have a discussion with those three. That is unfair. It is unfair to the staff and fellow council members to speak on his behalf. It is unfair to Tom, Britton, and Amy. They deserve communication. It's unfair to the committees because in some cases quorum was and is not currently met, and therefore committees are unable to meet. And lastly, it is unfair and unprofessional way to hold the seat as mayor. What has also come about from these statements is additional statements being made about these individuals' assumptions. For Tom and Britton, is now being said that they are they're a liability to the city and that they almost got the city sued. If that was the case, when were they formally informed of this infraction and the outcome it had? I recall them being talked about at a city council meeting, and that OPM training was not made, and so then OPMA training was provided. They finished the course and they finished their term. So if the infraction was so great and there was so much liability, why did the city keep them on? For Amy, it is that the past city manager did not like her, and with the mayor being her friend, Amy would not be appointed. So where is the communication to them instead of it being about them? Now, I am not saying that these statements are true or untrue. I don't know. But do you see as a council what happens or what is created when communication is ignored? SMC 2.50.030 is quite clear. The mayor is accountable, and it even refers to a timeline of 30 days that it applies to. So, Dean, I'm asking you, can you please provide status to them? Give them a communication. And council, I'm encouraging that you help with the discussion. Thank you.
If I may take a moment, council, to respond, if just briefly. No? Very well. Moving on, next person then is,
Who did you ask?
I'm not sure. I asked council.
But it wasn't me, and I'm the one that talked.
Okay. So I would briefly like to respond. Council took away the appointment of committee members from the mayor exclusively, and it has been passed to the Rules Committee. Rules Committee has been extremely occupied with the update and changes to the rules of procedure for council. And Rules Committee as a body decided to hold off for a period of time. We have a meeting on Wednesday, and that will be one of the things that we talk about. But we did preempt everything else to get the rules updated because that was a priority to council at the time. And you are correct, it has been a long time. When I did get an email from Ms. Rubio, I did respond to her, and it was a very brief email, but I didn't have any more information to give her, so I didn't say anymore. So that's what that is. It is not intentionally slighting anyone. They will have an answer. It is a Rules Committee decision. It's not my sole decision.
But
Eh,
has
yes,
that
I'm
been
sorry.
approved?
We're not going to discuss it anymore. That's just where we are with that right now. Okay? Thank you.
Council, was it approved?
Next,
They could be informed.
next name on my list is Lexi Pangle.
Hello, everyone. I am Lexi Pangle. I'm a 40-plus year Sunnyside resident, a mother to an almost teenager here in the Sunnyside School District, and this year's Sunnyside Rotary Swim Team Board President. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of our board and the many parents that have reached out to us to let us know that we are deeply disappointed in the decision to approve a 2025 budget that does not include any funding for the pool. For many of our young residents, the pool is a place where they learn the life-saving skill of swimming. And for many families, it's a place of connection. Whether it's during the summer heat or as part of an important community events, the pool has served as a cornerstone of community life in our city for as long as I can remember. Sorry. By leaving the pool out of the 2025 budget, we risk further marginalizing a space that has become central to the well-being of our families and our youth. This decision also disregards the promises that have been made to the community in the past, where we've been led to believe that the funding for this pool would be a priority. We understand fully that budgets are complicated and that tough decisions need to be made. However, we ask you to reconsider how we this makes me a little emotional.
Fine.
How we prioritize the resources that affect the lives of our residents. Neglecting this pool sends a message that the needs of family and children are not valued. We ask that the city council find a way to include funding for this pool in this budget, or at the very least, set aside resources for a comprehensive plan to support it in the very near future. We stand here today not just to express disappointment, but to remind you that the choices you make have a direct impact on the community that you serve. We urge you to listen to your constituents who are asking for a space that has been integral to our collective health and well-being remain open. Please do not let this budget pass without recognizing the need to fund and preserve our pool. Our community deserves better than having that can kicked down the road yet again. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next name on my list is Aliciana Aguirre.
Hi.
Yeah, so if sometimes we move that microphone too aggressively, it loosens the connection underneath.
Can't afford to know that.
Yeah. Again, only the clerk and her magic touch.
Gonna touch it and it's gonna. There we go.
I'm like IT, I just scared by the show.
It's just an eighth grade.
All right, try again.
Hi, I'm Luciana of Sunnyside. Over the past few weeks, you've heard from adults about how closing the pool will affect the younger population in our city. Tonight, I'm here to speak for my generation, the group that will be impacted the most and often doesn't get a voice. While some of you have expressed keeping the pool open, many in my generation feel that these words don't align with your actions. Last year, when the pool was closed for maintenance, it was deeply disappointing for school-aged children to miss out on the annual pool day. That was just one day. Imagine the impact of losing access for an entire summer. You often hear people say you can't put a price on people's life, but that's exactly what it feels like. Many kids my age rely on the pool as their main summer activity. Some get free lunches at the park and then head to the pool. It's the only thing they do all summer. Without it, our mental and physical health will suffer. Years from now, when the effects of this decision show, we'll wish more had been done to prevent it. As a proud shark and someone that took 4 years of swim lessons in that pool, I know and have seen firsthand how important the pool is, not just for sports, but as a gathering place for friends and a space for our community. I'm also an honor roll student who understands the importance of getting work done on time and doing it well. I'm asking you to do the same. Don't just pass a budget because it's due. Pass a budget that is well thought out and supports the community, especially the young. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope you will prioritize a budget that includes keeping the pool open.
Thank you. And if anybody ever tells you you don't have a voice, you do. Next name on my list is Kennard.
Sis Kennard, Sunnyside, Washington, and president of the Sunnyside Museum and Historical Association. I'm here to talk about a couple different things. First of all, the budget, council and staff, how you can make any sense out of the numbers for 2024 is beyond me. Just reviewing the section that was about the museum raises questions. For example, what is the line item communication? And how did it cost the museum $2,470.80 last year when the museum was closed? As compared to the senior center that paid $386.65 for communication, and they are a real active place. So the other thing was the museum was closed all last year, but our utility bill was $5,186.38. And I'm wondering, because all we have is one bathroom, we don't have a kitchen, I'm not sure what our water bill is, and if you ever come to a meeting at the museum, it's freezing cold. So are we paying commercial rates for those utilities because it's a building? I'm not sure, but that seemed pretty high to me. $432.19 a month. And then insurance. Maybe we need to shop around for insurance. we're paying $353.15 a month for insurance for the museum. Now, I understand that's for the building and for the parcel and for the parcel behind it, but it's not for the contents of the museum. That's not included. That is the association's problem. So, and I really lost track of what really professional services, repairs, and maintenance. With the museum closed last year, for somehow we built up a cost of $7,373.40. So I'm just asking you, council, if when you're looking at it, make sure you know what you're looking at. And I just want to tell you that we're going to be closed next year, so maybe you want to look over the numbers that you're considering for option one. Okay? The other thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about the agreement between the City of Sunnyside and the Sunnyside Museum Historical Association. We had a signed agreement that we signed in April. The intent of the agreement was to allow the association to control a parcel of land for the purpose of building a storage building so that we could preserve the artifacts of the museum. After signing the agreement, it was discovered that we had the wrong parcel number on it, and we had some typo errors in it, so that it needed to be revised. The association was assured.
Ms. Kennard, so.
I went over my time?
Yes. Is there any objection to letting her finish?
To let her finish?
Okay, let's go ahead and finish, Ms. Kennard.
Thank you. I'm sorry. The association was assured that this would be done, and so we proceeded with the action to erect the building. In June, having not yet received the revision, the association prepared an official request for an extension to it, which was required in the original agreement, and the extension that we asked for would take us up to mid-October, because originally it expired July 31st. Again, we were assured that that was no problem. Today is December 9th, 2024. The association still does not have a revised agreement. The extension date has passed, and most recently, our project director was advised to cease work until we have an agreement in our hand. So what does this mean to you, council? You now have a beautiful, very nice 40 by 50 foot building with no electricity, housing the artifacts that we were trying to preserve. And there's an open ditch, the length of the parcel, that needs blacktop, and this is not blacktop weather. And the open ditch, even though it has notices of warning sign, is really a liability the city doesn't want to have. The last request the association made was an email November 20th, 2024, to which I as president received no response. We're here tonight requesting direction. This situation leaves the association in an awkward spot, having spent $125,000 thus far on a project approved by our board of directors, but we are unable to finish. The board had plans to house the artifacts that were in the small, uninsulated sheds in a new insulated and organized building until such time the city could repair the current building. I thank you for your time and service and await your direction.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard. Mr. City Manager, will you please see what we can do about finding some answers to her questions?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next name on my list is Mike Kennard. Okay. Sandra Lindy.
I'm Sandra Lindy, and I am 98944, a member of the community of Sunnyside. I just actually want to just compliment a couple of things right now. One is I really appreciate the meeting that the iWatch group had, where we had the city manager, we had the police chief, we had some of the members of the city council there talking about what we need to be doing. Obviously, people are wanting to help make Sunnyside a safer place, and I really appreciate the work together that's happening. And then I also saw on the agenda that we are going to pick a again, our official newspaper, and I am very grateful that the Sunnyside Sun newspaper exists and that it will be our official newspaper. And that is all I have. Good luck with all the things you do. Oh, I should say one thing. I actually taught swimming, worked at a pool for many years, and it is a very loving place. And there are kids there every single day that needs the support. So whatever you can do there is great, but other people have been telling you that too. So thank you, City Council and the city employees.
Thank you. And the last name on my list is Britton Moore.
Good evening, everyone. Britton Moore, Sunnyside, Washington. I just want to thank everyone for all their hard work, city employees, mayor, city manager for such a great weekend. The kids parade and the light parade was really fabulous. I have a question about the curfew, where we might be at on that. If we've made any progress, an update would be great. I know the word curfew scares everyone and parents, but really it's just a tool for us to use to get these rotten criminals off the street and shush them out of town. I visited a few of the businesses last week that had their windows shot out. This is exhausting. Dave is run ragged. He's trying to run a business and he's out patrolling at night. It's my turn tonight. I'll take a nap before I go out. But this is getting ridiculous. These kids, people, adults, whatever they are, they all wear their hoods and their masks and they're frustrating, and you know exactly who they are when they're walking down the street, and they just are creating havoc for our town, causing a lot of trouble. So I want to thank Rob for always being there for us and handling things for us, and city manager for supporting us and having our meeting last month. I'd also like to, again, request kindly that you consider a forensic audit. The lack of documents that were left behind, the loss of information, the ill-prepared reports, which were absolute fabrications that were given to you as council and past city council, the inexcusable financial procedures that were done, and the inexperienced finance department that we had are absolutely criminal. Deb might as well be reading the back of a Fruity Pebbles box. There's just nothing there. So I'm kindly asking for a forensic audit to be considered. And lastly, for the public or people that might be listening and worried about the pool being closed, I just want you to remember that the council sitting up here, this was not their doing. Our past city manager and finance director are to blame, period, end of story. They are not here to close the pool. They have to make tough decisions that were made by a previous administration. So remember that when you're talking to a council. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right, again, thank everybody for their comments, and we as council cannot know what it is you are thinking until you tell us. And this is one avenue for you to be able to speak to us and let us know what your thoughts are on any situation. And other avenues, of course, you can reach out to us via email, phone call, or catch us in places like Safeway or wherever we are wandering around town, because that's where we frequently are. And Public Safety Committee will be meeting this week, so that is on the agenda, Ms. Moore. So, all right, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda consists of the following: approve the minutes of the November 18, 2024 study session, approve payroll vouchers number 119664 through 119668, and wire transfers as listed for $744,252.33 for the period ending on December 5, 2024. Approve claim voucher numbers 110795 through 110846 and wire transfers as listed for $218,476.80 for the period ending on December 5, 2024. Council members, is there any item that you wish to remove from the consent agenda for further discussion?
I have a few questions.
Okay, you can go ahead and list the items and then we'll.
17149, 17150, 17231.
17131?
17231.
231, okay. And that first one I have 17149.
9.
Thank you. All right. Any other council member have any item they wish to pull out? All right, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
The first one, 17149, is for the my understanding, those are Chase credit cards. And we bank with US Bank. I'm just curious why we have a different credit card with different bank, and also who is using these? Is this merchant card fees? Are those fees or are those purchases? And who's making those purchases?
Specific staff have been assigned a purchasing card to make purchases with. We go through the credit card that is the state assigns as the purchasing card services for all of the state. I would have asked the same question. I'm a little, I don't have an answer for you as to why they're all coded to the same thing. And one of them actually says part-time employee wages,
Yeah.
which that is not something we would ever pay for on a credit card. So I will need to look and see how these got coded this way and why. And I can give you more information on that later.
Yeah.
So they are for charges that would have purchased by staff for whatever the city needed. We no longer have petty cash, which is not something we can still go back and do petty cash also. There's no right or wrong on that one, but I do think that the information that's being provided is not sufficient.
Gotcha. So
Yeah, I would think then, Ms. Sable, on that one, and Mr. Deputy Mayor, if you agree that this item will pull and that we're not even going to vote on this particular payment, this item number 17149, we'll pull that out until we can get an answer.
We can, although we will probably get a late fee.
but are we doing where we approve them and then we pay? Are these
So
already
typically what happens is people get permission to use their procurement card and they get their receipts and they submit them for coding to their department director, and then they go to finance for input. So they do have invoices for the purchases. I don't know why they're all being coded to this one item. The person who entered them, I think entered them incorrectly. And I have delegated reviewing the AP vouchers to a staff person, and so I need to work with that.
So when you say late fees, late fees from the credit card?
Yes.
We're not paying.
Yes,
Mr. Mayor?
I just wanted you to know that. We can certainly pull it and.
Well, I don't want to incur any more fees. Obviously, we've had enough financial issues that we don't want to add to it. But I definitely would like for council to get a report on what these professional services are. Merchant card, what are we buying with this? Why do we not have better information than this? Because it's not for professional services on a credit card. So what is it actually going for and who's doing it? And we don't need to know it by name, but is it a department thing or? Because this is really vague.
It is. We actually have the same thing on transaction 17152.
What
is that one?
Again, Express.
I think these ones are what we're paying Express to have the account. This is where we're paying for folks to use online services.
I'm going to say Express bill pay. I use that to pay my water and city bill. So. Okay. What's your desire on this one, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Go ahead and pull it.
Okay.
You want?
I would agree with that. I want to find out what's going on here. Ms. Hart?
Are you talking about the 17149, pulling that one, and this one to 501? 52?
The one for 52 is what our payments to Express to use their services.
Okay,
And it gets
so the
paid.
first,
And now I'm wondering if this is the same thing for that one.
it seems odd that this says, you said there are invoices
Mhm.
and
When someone uses their procurement card, they get a receipt.
so then what are the professional services on those invoices, I guess is the
That's what
question.
we're trying to find out. Yes, absolutely.
So that's what we want
Right.
to know, right?
Okay.
So I'll move on to the next one. It's 17150, City of Sunnyside Utilities. I noticed that the parks, and correct me if I'm wrong, utilities is the water, sewer, and garbage. And the parks is at 11,000. Are we still watering the parks this late in the season? And if not, I mean, this 11,000, is there a leak somewhere that we don't know about?
From a watering standpoint, we're not watering anything at this point as far as grass or anything like that.
So this payment would be for water use from October.
October.
In October, we were watering all the way up to about the middle of October. When irrigation goes off, we stop watering
We use city water for irrigating in parks?
everything other than one park.
And another one of concern, and Ms. Sable, we were at the meeting at the finance subcommittee. You called, I believe, Raul, about the senior center having a high water bill. What happened there? Because it's still, I mean, $1,800.
So we
Utilities.
went back 4 years on what the trends were for the senior center to find if there was a leak. And everything lines up according to the seasons. So we had staff look into that too and talk to staff at the senior center. So as far as a leak, we could not find anything with the meter with, according to the past 4 years, anything that looked out of line for usage.
Okay. The last one I have is 17231. That's Enterprise Trust for Vehicle Replacement. Did we find a contract or the lease agreement on that?
What is the number that you have? 172?
17231.
They're right in front of me.
Mhm.
Actually, Public Works Director Earl has been working with Enterprise to see if there's a way that we can send some of the cars back. If we can, if there's a penalty for that, and then to evaluate, is paying the penalty worth paying in order to send the car back?
And sending the car back because we're not using them right now,
Or to find another vehicle to use in place of that one.
Okay.
But I can give a little update on what I found out so far today.
Yeah.
So I talked to the fleet manager for this, and so a vehicle that we have under this program, after 1 year, what we can do is take that vehicle, get the mileage, and then they would look at what the market value is for that vehicle now and see where we're at on what is owed versus what is the market value. And then decide at that point whether we can send it back or look at other options with a different vehicle, because we were looking at on one vehicle that doesn't get used much, and what the mileage would be on that. So then the question came up, because they're all under fleet, that one may be one, depending on when we received it, because they all came at different parts over the year, the last 2-3 years. So the ones that came in at the very beginning may be the ones that may already be able to go back, depending on the market value. So tomorrow,
Rate that vehicle.
send it back. Yeah, well, yeah. I will get some mileage information from some of these vehicles, and then we're going to go over that market value. That'll give us a better idea what we can do with these vehicles if we're considering this.
Okay. Thank you.
And pardon me for the coughing. I've got some sort of strange tickle in my throat this evening, and it doesn't seem to want to go out. So, all right then. And so, Mr. Deputy Mayor, you're wanting to pull and keep out 17149 and 17150, and keep those out,
No, the one,
or do you want to go ahead and approve those?
you just keep the 17149 out.
Okay. All right, so we have the consent agenda with item number 17149 pulled out pending further review and better information for council. What is the desire of council on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
All right, we got motion by Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Ripley. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. Motion passes. And we do look forward to learning more about these professional services. Active agenda, item A, 2025 official newspaper. Approve a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Sunnyside Sun as official newspaper for the year 2025. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as provided by RCW 3523.352, the city of Sunnyside solicited sealed bids for the official newspaper for the year of 2025. Notices were published in the Sunnyside Sun and on our website. This designation ensures that all legal notices are properly published and accessible to the public. The city received one response. That was from the Sunnyside Sun. So, Mayor, that's the information, and I'll throw it back to you.
All right, council members, any questions on this item?
Now, this is a locally owned paper too now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Perfect.
And I don't think I can think of any complaints against the paper and their reporting on our.
No, Mayor, and if I may add something, since they are the only bid, but Ileana Martinez and Joe Wise are here, so if you could raise your hands, and they do a great job, and I've been wanting to recognize them for this. They won 10 awards in October at the Washington Newspaper Publisher Association. So to put that in context, there were 50 newspapers that entered and 1,200 entries. So to have a newspaper of this stature in our town I'm pretty proud of that as a former journalist. And if you read their newspaper, how it's put together, I mean, it rivals, I would say, any newspaper in the state of Washington. They really do an excellent job. So proud to have them as our official paper of record.
I cannot disagree with the city manager on that. So you guys have done an excellent job. Further comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, what's the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Councilor Hart, second by Councilor Ripley to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Sunnyside Sun as official newspaper for 2025. Debate on this item. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
quick question. Were we going to do roll call vote or?
We were, but it's not on my agenda, and so it's really hard for me to pencil it all in. So if everybody would vote clearly so that the clerk can hear who votes for what. And when it's unanimous, it makes it a whole lot easier for everybody, obviously. So. All right. Item B, probation services interlocal agreement. Approve a resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate, execute, and administer probation services interlocal agreements and amendments to maintain probationary services required by law, as well as preserve public order and safety. Mr. City Manager.
Okay, and as you mentioned, so this is to approve a resolution authorizing myself to negotiate, execute, and administer those probation services. Judge Lee is here. If you want to step up to the mic, Judge, and he's here to answer any questions that you may have about this particular subject. But Ben has reviewed it, the contract, and to him it looks good. So everything's teed up nicely, Mayor.
Okay, first of all, Judge, welcome. Sorry, I
Welcome.
didn't see you sitting back there, so.
No, that's
I would have
fine.
recognized you earlier.
Nice to see you again.
Okay, Ben, you had your hand up, or
There's just one small thing an email to you about that.
could you speak into the microphone, please, Ben?
That the notice provision just needs to be supplemented to make sure the city's on there.
Okay, let me check that real quick, Ben. Forgive me.
And Judge, anything you need to add to this?
Not unless people have questions. I can tell you this was the product of, we've been using Yakima County probation for a long time. And in 2022, I believe, nope, 2023, they came to all the cities saying, nope, you've got it good for a long period of time. We're raising our rates a lot higher. We're a small fish. I can tell you that, city of Yakima is who really negotiated this or attempted to negotiate this for a year. But we've been under a kind of a one-year contract for the last year as well. So it's up and it needs to get done. Otherwise, we have no probation, and probation is mandatory. So.
Council members, any questions or comments? Either for our attorney or for Judge Lee or city manager? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I have a few questions. So is this, like, say, I just trying to understand the process. So if somebody gets probation, they send them off to Yakima County to do the services?
Yes. So Yakima County Probation Services, they have an office in Yakima at the main courthouse, but they also have an office because they do the Grandview contract. So they have a Lower Valley office for probation services as well. So a lot of the city, SELA does, City of Yakima does, they contract with District Court Probation or Yakima County for their probation services. So what happens if somebody gets convicted or pleads and they're put on probation? Now, I will say what I've been trying to do with the court and the prosecution as well, but limit the amount of people put on probation. I think that's where we're at. Ultimately, over a course of years, that's how to limit the costs under this contract. DUIs, they're mandatory. If somebody pleads to a DUI, they have to be placed on probation. The other real kind of offenses that at least I key on, and probably most courts key on, domestic violence and those types of cases. Try not to put people on formal probation on the more minor things like disorderly conducts. Sometimes they can be put on bench probation and I can do the reviews. So really trying to limit the cost over a 4-year period, which will lower the costs of this contract over time. That's the way to do it.
And speaking of cost, in the contract, it said it was going to cost for Sunnyside $39,789.18, and for Toppenish $10,854.54. Total of $50,643. Is that what it's going to cost us for 2025? If that's my understanding.
Yes. So if you look in there, there are clauses because a lot of this is dependent upon probation services being able to get their probation fees. So all the courts assess probation fees as determined by, probation department. As you may or may not be aware, over the course of years, the court's ability to get people to pay costs has been limited. To the point now where if somebody's on any type of state assistance, it's automatic. You can't, under Washington law, as a court, impose fees or costs, and that limits most of that. It's always been a thought that it hasn't happened yet, but in the future, Washington State going after probation fees and probation costs and limiting that. So if you look in this contract, there are some clauses if that happens. And then it goes through a review and then it can be renegotiated at that point in time. So they're putting that as a clause in there to, I guess, protect themselves or limit their costs.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions or comments? Ms. Sable.
I would just like to note for council that the current amount that we're paying for probation services is $8,100. So this is significantly being increased. And we can imagine and or predict that this is what we're going to be seeing in municipal court from this point forward. A significant increase in all of our fees just due to the whole judicial system right now.
Quick question then.
Go ahead,
So
Mr. Deputy Mayor.
is Yakima County our only option then for the services?
Right now, yes. I mean, think of it this, so the only options ultimately, knowing that probation needs to be done, is either a place having their own probation department and funding that, or contracting with somebody. Yakima County is the only one, yes, to contract with because there's no other little places. I can tell you, I was speaking to the judges in the city of Yakima, and for a while there, it just didn't pan out. But they were interested in doing their own department because this change is costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars. As I said, it didn't get off the ground. I was interested in potentially trying to see what the cost would be there to go through them. It can't be Benton County. It has to be the county, Yakima County. However, if we're talking about $39,000 for probation services versus trying to, the city of Sunnyside trying to make their own probation department, we're not going to do it for $39,000. We wouldn't even be able to hire a probation officer for that, obviously. So I think it is limited to that. Yes.
Okay.
I can honestly say that this hurts to think about. Going from 8,000 something to almost 40,000 is a painful increase. As has been mentioned, this is something that we can look forward in more areas, not just in probation. I think it's going to be coming more and more. And then, of course, then we're the ones that have to raise fees and we're the ones that get all the abuse.
And I will say this, because we have a contract with the city of Toppenish. I think we're looking at seeing if that, I think that needs to be redone. Actually, what I found out is the city of Toppenish, that contract expired in 2018. So they haven't even been under contract. So they very well might be getting a good deal from the city of Sunnyside. And obviously all these things need to be looked at.
Oh, absolutely.
The way to limit ultimately under this contract is, like I said, it's over a 4-year period where they see the daily number of cases being monitored. So ultimately over a 4-year period, once this contract's signed, what I've been doing with the court is limiting the number of people on probation, but also I think there should be a concerted effort of, it's the prosecutor's office, the court, I suppose to a more limited degree, defense attorneys, but limiting the number of cases. So what I'm referring to there is if somebody has 15 cases, put them on one case on probation, not 15, because that's 15 that is upping this total.
Very good. Other questions or comments?
And Mayor, if I may, Ben just sent me a note. This is a 3-party contract between the city, municipal court, and county. So notice, address, and contact information of the city needs to be provided. And that's just a Scribner error, I guess you could say. So if we got that updated and Mayor signed it in the next couple of days, we'll be fine. Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure the public knew.
All right. If there's no further comments or questions, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
Second. Kind of want to say under duress, but
I
second.
think we can all understand that, Ms. Hart. Yes, so we got a motion by Councilor Beeler, second by Councilor Hart to approve a resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate, execute, and administer probation services, interlocal agreements, and amendments to maintain probationary services required by law, as well as preserve public order and safety. To debate on this item. Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. I too vote aye, although I will say that's probably one of the more reluctant ayes I have heard from this council. Nobody likes these numbers. Thank you, Judge, for being here this evening and your comments.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Judge. Appreciate it.
Item C, Lodging Tax Advisory Committee's 2025 funding recommendations. Approve a resolution awarding 2025 lodging tax funds in the amount of $92,500 to Sunnyside Noon Rotary Club, Sort for the Cause, Sunnyside Daybreak Rotary Club, Washington Nitro Nationals, Miss Sunnyside Committee, and Carter Killian. And who wants to take this?
I'll let Deputy Mayor take this.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, it is all yours.
Okay, council, we had 2 different meetings to approve, these events. And the reason that being is the first time around, nobody applied for the Sunshine Days and nobody applied for the Implement Parade. And I felt that, we couldn't go on in 2025 without Sunshine Days and without a Implement Parade. So as a committee, we decided to reopen applications. And so we did have one for Sunshine Days, and we had 2 different organizers for the Implement Parade, which is, it's always a challenge. So if you could see here, we're only putting aside $92,500 for these events, and for the most part, it's the usual events. There was 2 of them that wasn't funded last year, which is the Washington Nitros Nationals and the Ale Fest. We felt that, with the Ale Fest, it's a growing event. We feel that, it could get a lot bigger, and we could definitely bring in, more people from outside of town, and hopefully they stay, for the whole weekend. But it's a good start. I believe they applied in the years prior, but they hadn't, for quite some time. Oh, and another one was the Miss Sunnyside Committee. We decided to fund them as well. And the Washington Nitros. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they hold a yearly event just outside of Sunnyside. And, they bring in a lot of people. So I'll open it up for any questions.
Council, questions for the deputy mayor? Ms. Fausto.
Just what else does the Nitro group do?
They have a motorcycle event just outside of town, and they bring people from outside of Sunnyside. They don't necessarily, well, actually, Mr. Tom Denley did figure that they did have about 60 hotel nights associated to that event. So even though they do stay at an RV, they camp out there. They do stay at the hotels, and we want to make sure that it's not just the hotels that benefit from Altech. It's other restaurants, local people, and not just the hotels benefiting from these events. And we feel that all those people eventually have to come through Sunnyside and maybe stop at a store, and we'll see. We'll keep a close eye on it, and we'll see what happens with that.
Is this the first time we're funding them?
Correct.
Potentially?
Correct.
It's not the first time we're funding them, but it's the first time in a number of years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Hart?
I was just going to say that, and the reasons in the past that it's not that they have not applied for it, but in the past, it's been recognized by the LTAC committee and by the council that most of the money that they, the $10,000 I see that they're asking for, do we know what they're planning to use that for? Number one. Number two, in the past, they really did, and I'm surprised with Mr. Denley with the Best Western in town, because he's normally been the biggest objector to giving money to the Nitro, because of no heads in beds, because that's where the LTAX money comes from, heads in beds, and he's very big on that. But in any case, most of the people are self-contained out on the property that's on the north side of the hill, with easy access to down towards Moxie, going back into Yakima, out to the freeway to go down towards Oregon, and then up through the center of town. Not too many people actually come through Sunnyside, or at least in the past. Now, this may have changed, but those have been some of the objections in the past, that they really didn't. Sunnyside did not see a lot of money coming into town. But I think that as it's grown, it's been out there, I think 10 years,
And more than that.
maybe more than 10 years. So, but I'm just curious as what they plan to use their $10,000 on.
They had applied for more, and in their application, it stated that they wanted to, improve their facilities out there, which you can't do it without tech money. It's not city owned. So that's the reason that, we kind of shorten it down to the 10,000 for advertisement, to get more people here. And one of the suggestions that I had is maybe hand out the pamphlet for the Sunnyside. That way, people that go there know whether they can come into Sunnyside, the businesses and the the wineries, and then the varietal, stuff like that. So not just not giving them any information of what's going on in Sunnyside, but if we give them those flyers, then we could get people into town.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, and John Nyborg just came by my office, and we talked a little bit about the event. And so what he told me, he was very appreciative of the money. And one of his promises to the city was to really intentionally tie the event to Sunnyside, because it's a neat event. And I've been out there to the hill. And so he's going to spend that money largely on social media marketing, and then to have an on-site content creator to be out there taking pictures and videos to really show people, how exciting it is. And there's some videos out there, and if you get a chance, take a look. It's a really neat event. It's about 17 miles outside of Sunnyside, but it's not Sunnyside proper, but there's a way to leverage and market its ties to Sunnyside. So I think that's what the LTAC committee really liked about this event. Because there are some question marks as to how many heads and beds it puts, but it certainly is a good brand for Sunnyside to be tied to. So that's the promise John made to me, that he's going to really really hit the social media sites really hard and have somebody out there that's creating content and tying it back to our city as a signature event.
In addition to that, for that particular event, I've been a proponent of supporting this event for quite some time. They have always made it out as a Sunnyside event, not a Yakima event. When it's broadcast and it's live streamed or whatever, it says, here we are in Sunnyside, Washington. And also, they do notice an uptick of rooms that are rented. I remember one time Best Western had all of their rooms filled with members of this event. And so I feel that it is delivering on its promise. And we've got a lot of local riders from Sunnyside who participate and do quite well, actually, in their age group. And so I also noticed that we've got a lot of our food trucks, food vendors, and local vendors out there selling their wares with a mobile pop-up type setup too. So that goes very well. So Ms. Vasquez.
Yes, so I have a question. I do see right here on one of the forms where it's page number 42, where you guys had the amounts requested and the LTAC recommendation. I do see 509 Insanity. They applied for a good amount of money here. Can you give me just maybe like a reason why it's all blank on the recommendation side?
So the reason, the bottom line is that their application wasn't filled out completely. And we contacted them multiple times. They actually, in the second round, we made it a point to meet afterwards. We met at 5 p.m. with the understanding that I believe he's a teacher. So we believe that, get your application filled out and come to the LTAC meeting at 5 p.m. so you can answer, the questions. Yeah. So at the beginning of the I guess the LTAC season, we kind of said, you know what, we really need these applications to be filled out, and we can't approve an application if it's not filled out completely, and then not approve another one that, because it's not. So we really like, the 509 Insanity. It's a good event. Basketball, it brings a lot of people, but we didn't feel that they, made the effort and completely filling out that application.
And I have one more question. Would this be their first time that they would be applying for LTAC money? No? Okay.
No.
So they do have experience with
Yeah.
filling everything out. All right. And yeah, so I just had that question because I know 509 Insanity, it kind of goes hand in hand with Sunshine Days Parade. And I remember this year I had received many comments from residents, just pretty upset with the turnout, kind of comparing it to Grandview and how Grandview had an amazing, the basketball turnout. And they were just making some comments saying, what is Sunnyside doing to attract more attention to these basketball games and competitions, because it can be something that can grow really big. So I guess that's where my question was.
And actually that's my questions that I wanted to ask him at the time at the meeting, but he didn't make himself available.
Okay. Then thank you for clearing there. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Ms. Hart.
Yes, thank you. There was another one here. I think that it's probably good that we're going to be giving some money to this Miss Sunnyside committee and the because they've been having some trouble, have they not, with their truck, the trailer. I think it's the float itself, the chassis on the float itself. So this is that what they were planning to use some of that money for?
Correct. And I checked with MRSC and they said that it was okay too.
It was approved usage. Well, I think that's a good.
They travel to, I believe, 20 different parades. And if they go out there and another suggestion that I had is, the parents that walk alongside of it also be handing out flyers, and it was on their application that they plan on doing that, to showcase Sunnyside.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
Further questions? Hearing none, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve, and I'll second.
Who was the motion?
Vicky Ripley.
Ripley?
Bruce
Okay.
Ripley. Good job.
All right. Motion by Counselor Ripley, second by Counselor Vasquez. Tried to blend your two names. Sorry about that. To approve a resolution awarding 2025 lodging tax funds in the amount of $92,500 to Sunnyside Noon Rotary Club, Sort for the Cause, Sunnyside Daybreak Rotary Club, Washington Nitro Nationals, Miss Sunnyside Committee, and Carter Killian. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. Motion passes.
It sort of choked, but I did say aye.
Okay. Well, I counted it as an aye, so
Oh, good.
once I write it down, it's in ink. It's not going to change.
Then it's concrete.
All right. Item D, update the schedule of fees and charges. Approve a resolution amending the schedule of fees and charges for water, sewer, and garbage rates effective January 1, 2025. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as has been previously shared with council, it's crucial the city increase the water and sewer rates to address existing and future infrastructure needs. The city has not increased its rates in recent years, and it's in the best interest of the community to do so that regular maintenance and operations can continue uninterrupted, as well as to address the needed upgrades and repairs to both systems. Staff is also recommending an increase to the garbage collection rates based on the increase in collection services to the city's contracted hauler, Yakima Waste Systems Incorporated, as provided in the 5-year contract 2022 to 2027 schedule, and the city's annual increases associated with utility billing. Mayor, that's how I'll tee it up, and Debbie has been working hard with staff on this as well.
All right. Ms. Sable, did you want to add anything before we open it up for council?
I do, Mayor and Council. So I wanted to also point out that the proposed budget has been prepared using a 5% increase to water, sewer, and garbage rates. That does directly impact the general fund through the utility tax that is applied to those rates. And that the city has been with a rate analysis consultant who's putting together not just a rate analysis, but an overall, what is the health of the financial health of our utilities, so we can put together a really good plan for the future. As we have heard, we have a dire need for our wells to be worked on. We have some issues with water or with sewer, and our garbage rates at this point for next year, the proposed 2025 budget is being put together with the garbage fund receiving a subsidy from the general fund, which is pretty unheard of for the to have to get a subsidy from the general fund other than the street fund. So we do need to be working on getting our rates to at a point where they can make our utilities sustainable for the future. They also do need to have a fund balance. Both the water and the sewer for the projected 2025 budget be well below the 15% fund balance for them. And again, there'll be a zero fund balance with garbage with the general fund subsidizing that. Because this is a fee resolution, resolutions take effect immediately, but these fees would not go into effect until January 1st of 2025. So the resolution will be passed tonight and it would not go into effect until January 1st of 2025. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those if I can for you.
Sorry, there my my cough has kind of taken over and I cannot talk right now. If somebody happens to have a cough drop, I would not turn it down.
I don't.
It was one of those instances in life where I've been trying to get my wife's attention in the back there. And this is when she's absolutely not going to look at me. So
But she's coming to the rescue though.
she is. If you could pass that to Mr. Sanchez and he can bring that to me, that would be much appreciated.
Oh, there you go.
Awesome. All right, council, while I'm doing this, are there any questions or comments for Ms. Sable or the city manager?
There's about three of us, so.
Bueller.
Mr. Beeler.
Mr. Bueller.
When's the last time we've raised these?
In 2022. So we didn't have an increase in 23 or in 24.
Should we be looking at this every year?
Well, the rates should be adjusted annually. What we are going to be proposing when we bring our financial plan back to council is to adopt a 3-year rate increase, and then we'll put it in our ordinance. So it's not part of the resolution.
Thank you.
That's
Mr. Deputy Mayor. So I was comparing the schedule fees to the current one. And is there a reason, there was just one that didn't change? The usage over 11,222 gallons stayed the same. Was that by accident or did we leave it unchanged for a reason?
Usage over
11,222 gallons?
If it was not increased, it was in error. Yes, it's 9 cents.
It's 9 cents right now, yeah. But it's
So
not.
it should go up by the 5%.
5%.
Mhm.
Ms. Hart.
I will figure that out there.
Yeah, right.
so the, we looked at a number of different percentage marks to bring it up to, is this kind of our version of cost of living to bring it up by 5%?
This was yes. So for solid waste management systems, their increase is going to be 3%.
Mhm.
And then we do have our own increase with salaries and costs for preparing the utility bills that are going to be going up. And the same with water and sewer. We do have the contracts that the collective bargaining agreements that the employees are under for these. They do have contracted cost of living increases, and then they do have step increases. So our expenses are going to be going up. Power is going to be going up. Water and sewer are one of the greatest users of electricity when it comes to running all the pump stations, the lift stations, the treatment plant. And so whenever consumer goods go up, electricity, natural gas, those are greatly impacted in the Public Works Department.
And I really, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I really think that the business of putting that into the ordinance for every three years that we make that increase and make it kind of mandatory for us to do that so we don't get behind the 8 ball and have to make these sudden changes because we're going 5% is 5%.
Right.
And I've already heard some comments about that. But again, if you want to have water and sewer and garbage, and that's what we're here for.
Right.
We have
And,
to,
and it's really important to have a solid analysis done on your rates, because if we had a huge ending fund balance every year, that would probably indicate that our rates are too high.
Mhm.
And so, to be able to have a good analysis so that our users are just paying for what they're using, and to be planning for the future, not just willy-nilly, we just want to save a bunch of money. It's what exactly are you saving money for? What projects do you need to have done?
Right.
And how much will those cost? So.
like your wells.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Ms. Frosto.
When can we plan to do those assessments?
We're planning on bringing it back to council by April. And I think what happened is 5% on 9 cents it becomes 9.945. And I think it just rounded down to 9. It's not a whole penny.
Okay.
So we could raise it more and make it a penny.
Make it a 10 cent. I mean, who uses 11,000
Well,
gallons?
and part of also when we are working with our consultant to change these is to change just our rate structure in general.
Uh-huh.
Right now, residential heavily subsidized commercial.
Okay.
And so we need to make it be more equitable
Yeah.
for all the users. So you can expect that we're going to be changing just the way that we're doing our billing in general or I should say our rates in general.
Yeah, I just always thought it was crazy that the more you use, the lower per gallon, you're paying.
Right. That doesn't.
It doesn't
Right.
make sense.
Mhm.
Council, any further questions? All right, hearing none. Do we want to wait for the mayor to?
Oh, we probably should.
Yeah, if we could,
Yeah.
he'll be right back, I'm sure.
In the meantime, I'll make a comment.
Go ahead.
Eric and I were just talking about how the lesser of things there are, it's more expensive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about soda. We're talking about how soda, everything nowadays, the more you get, the cheaper.
Yeah.
And the less, it's more expensive, right? With marketing nowadays.
It's exciting.
So can I pay in advance for my water?
So that does bring up a question. Some years ago, council was talking about changing the way that we bill for water, and that the individuals who are using more water would pay a higher rate for their water instead of penalizing homeowners and families. It would be subsidized more by the larger volume users. And maybe time to start having that discussion again. It was voted down by council 10 years ago, but that doesn't mean we can't start talking about that now. We do have some high volume water users in this community. I think about it at my point, it cost me about $40 to fill my pool, which, for me is really nice personally, but there's an awful lot of people who are paying a higher rate to use less water. Meanwhile, I get my pool filled for $40. So I think that maybe we need to rethink how we bill for our water. And please, again, excuse my cough. I don't know where this kind of came out of the blue. I was just fine walking into the meeting and all of a sudden here it is. But I'd like to maybe revive that discussion.
I have another question, Mr. Mayor.
Mr.
So
Deputy Mayor?
there's a location right outside the water department where you could get fresh water for a quarter, right? Have we considered raising the price on that? To me, it's cheap. I think you get 100 gallons for a quarter or something.
Yeah, that is something that we should be looking into on the next fee schedule to figure out on that mechanism, how to just change that.
Yeah, because
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's really cheap, and a lot of contractors. Yeah, it's good for them, but they have the money, they can pass the cost on.
Yeah, and it's for bulk. Anybody that wants to fill up a truck with
fresh water.
I see, okay.
That is.
Yeah. Further questions or comments? All right, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve the.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Counselor Hart, second by Counselor Vasquez. Boy, I might have to just go
Now
home.
it's catching.
I might just have to go home. I don't know here.
Apparently it's contagious.
It's a tickle. It's not anything else. It's just something caught in my throat and it's just absurd. Mr. Deputy Mayor, I'm briefly going to turn the gavel over to you. I'm going to let you take this motion.
Who motioned it? Is it Counselor Hart? I have a motion by Counselor Hart and a second by Counselor Vasquez to approve resolution. Changing let me see. I wasn't prepared for this, but. Approve resolution amending the schedule of fees and charges for water, sewer, and garbage rates effective January 1st, 2025. Any debate?
No.
Hearing none. What is council? All those in favor?
Signify by saying.
Signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, no. I also vote aye. Resolution passes.
Thank you, sir, for stepping in. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. This stuff does work magic. I'm
It
impressed.
does. Here's a tickle in the throat, I'm telling you. Vitamin water.
All right. Item E has been added as per Ms. Zabel's request, a budget amendment. You should have before you a document and the recommendation is to adopt an ordinance amending the 2024 budget. And I'm assuming, Ms. Sable, you're the one that wants to present on this item? Or Mr. City Manager?
I would like her to present on this item. Thank you.
Ms. Sable.
It is my pleasure to be able to present this budget amendment so that we can put 2024 to bed and be done with it. I'm excited for 2025. This has been probably one of the most difficult budget amendments that I've ever worked on, including the very first one I did. I literally was like at 5:30 putting the last budget dollars in here. So I do have, council has a worksheet. I'm not sure if you've been provided that before, but this is basically what the finance committee within the general fund that we've been going through. We open up these line items and we see what makes up all of these expenditures. And I'm not sure if Miss Moore is still here, but it kind of does look like the back of a Pebbles box, but there's just been a variety of inconsistencies just throughout, whether it's coding revenues, whether it's coding expenditures. The Public Works Director and I had a meeting today on, we were talking about some parks. And I questioned him on something and he's like, no, that's not like that. And so we look at it. Well, we had because we had this conversation, I was able to, take another $150,000 out of the general fund and put it to the REIT fund where it was supposed to be coded to. So it had been coded incorrectly. So, and as I've shared before, I'm more confident with where we're at. But I still will just be waiting until the last check is run to make sure that we're like where we should be. So as you will see on the Exhibit A, we do have a significant reduction in our expenditures, and it's about $9 million. The general fund was reduced by the $4 million, which was the removal of the Munson property from the general fund. And then you'll notice under 420, that's the sewer fund. And I apologize that the fund names are not on here. I would normally have that on there. But on the attachment on the bottom right-hand side, it does say the number and then the fund name, so for reference. But 420 is the sewer fund. And there were some almost $2 million in grants that were budgeted for a project that didn't happen. So what we do is, what money didn't come in, what was budgeted to be spent. If we didn't spend it, it's not part of the budget amendment. It's so, and then I'm not sure why, but we do have some reserve funds and some capital funds that typically have not been included in the budget in general. Which would be like the 411, the 415, and the 416, which are funds that do need to have an appropriation because we do spend money out of those. So if there's any questions regarding this, I'd be happy to try my best to answer them for you.
Council members, questions? Mr. Beeler.
I'm looking at the swimming pool.
Oh, yes.
Give me a page number.
13.
13.
Thank you.
And I see how much we budgeted and we spent $100,000 less. Are we pretty confident in those numbers? Is that something we really need to look at going into next year to try to come up with that so we can run the pool this year or 2005?
Well, we are in the proposed 2025 budget. The pool is not in the 2025 budget. And part of this is when you look at like the salaries, what was proposed for salaries, and there was a pool repair, which is another $25,000. And then there was, we had repair and maintenance for 100,000, but we spent only 3/4 of that. And then we had another line item for the ARPA pool repairs. If we do if we can, if we're able to open the pool, there will be, I want to say $150,000 needed for pool repairs before we even get the pool opened. So that's something that we do need. Is that the correct number?
50.
Oh, 50? See, he's even nicer. He says 50.
I like his numbers better.
So there will be some repairs that we do have to make to the pool in, hopefully if we can get the pool opened. And it does cost a lot of money to operate.
What kind of repairs are we talking about?
So under the ARPA, some of the money that was going to be used for that was to replace some filters, vacuum pump, and a chemical pump. But then we held off on spending that because then we found out that we had a financial situation. And so they never were purchased. So if we're going into 2025, those are the things that would need to do in order not to have complications with the pool, is because we were planning on replacing them, but it was because we also thought we had ARPA. And so now it's on hold.
Will those pumps fail?
So the chemical pump has been there for years. The one that was replaced for $20,000 was the recirculating pump. The chemical pump is just a smaller pump that obviously is moving the chemical there for the pool. The filters, it's a plate and frame type. There's about 32 plates where the water goes through there. And again, they're aged and they would need to be replaced. The vacuum system, it's a vacuum pump that just vacuums the bottom of the pool and get it ready. Same thing, it's been taped and duct taped and just limped along. So part of that was to use some of that ARPA money, since we thought we had, to replace those pieces, that equipment.
But those pumps aren't in obvious danger of failing at this point, are they?
Well, the filters are bad. There's already, the majority of them have failed. So if we're going to replace them, it'd be good to replace them all. The vacuum pump, again, it was duct tape in different places. And so we were just going to replace that as well.
The pump or the hose?
The hose and the actual vacuum system. Part of that, yeah. So then the
hose is cheap.
The chemical, well, but the majority, yeah, the filters are probably the most expensive part because there's 32. So, and then the chemical pump.
And then I did want to make one more. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just have a quick,
ahead, Ms. Hart.
as far as the ARPA money that we had set aside for that was in the neighborhood of, do we remember?
45,000.
45,000, that's what's there.
Well, originally from the original, it's changed over time because then we also used some of that ARPA for the extension of the fence.
Right.
This summer that was approved to move that. And so.
But I mean, the actual filters and the vacuum and those replacement items, that 45,000 was for that. Correct?
Correct.
And that was ARPA money.
But then after we found out that, yes, we were in a financial situation, everything went on hold. So
Okay.
nothing got spent
Okay.
until we figured out our financials.
But where's the ARPA money gone?
The ARPA money is what offset the $4 million.
Okay.
So we had $4 million projected for a sale of a property. We had expenditures it did leave an ending fund balance, but not a significant one. So when we found out we were in the position that we were in and the city manager said, stop, any remaining ARPA money that we had left was used as general revenue loss for general city services.
And I think that was the idea of the question that Ms. Hart had.
Yeah, there was, I want to say there was 2-point-something million budgeted for 2024 for ARPA expenses.
Right.
Everything.
And so that included salaries, some enhancements to the pool and I think there's some stuff in the police department. There's been stuff in the community. Every department has had to, not get what they were expecting to get.
So that's gone back into general.
It's just, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in general fund and it just is covering for general services.
Other questions, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
And we'll see a resolution
Yes.
to allocate those.
Yes. Yeah. So
before
we,
the end of the
yes.
year.
And I don't believe there, Jackie, helped me look for this, but there was not, a formal resolution that like obligated funds. It was more of a discussion and then a motion
I thought we did. I thought we did do a
Yeah, I
resolution.
thought we did too.
Yeah.
To
Correct us if we're wrong there.
You did one, and then based on the records we have, there was a study session where you discussed it, but did not bring it back to council for action.
Okay.
Oh,
so we'll do a resolution that, excuse me, your cough came in my.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My tickle's gone away, so I'm not sure who's got it.
No, it's okay. I was feeling it as I was coming in tonight. We'll have a resolution for some of the items that we know what we spent, and then for just general services as revenue loss. So we have our bases covered when we do our final report.
okay.
Ms. Vasquez.
So pretty much you're estimating around 50,000 that the pool will need in order to even consider having it open for the coming year.
That would help from any kind of delay or any kind of complication throughout the season.
Okay.
Yes. So the ones that are there after evaluating it, and because we were planning on replacing these pieces of equipment, we were just going to replace it before the next season. But then after we found out our situation, we decided to hold off until we had direction.
Correct.
So yes, in order to with all the other maintenance that we've done to that pool, by replacing those things would really guarantee that we wouldn't have complications through the season with because we don't have a backup for that chemical pump. We don't have a
The
backup for that vacuum system too.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, I know the pool has been a hot topic of conversation, and Derek and I talked to the grant writer that's working on our grant with YCDA for the strategic plan. And he believes that potentially we're going to start working on this because I want the community to know we're not just, oh, it's closing. So he thinks that perhaps a CDBG grant can be used to cover operational costs and then also some infrastructure costs. So we are looking into that. And I think another thing to note is the FCS study that we're doing for utility rate increases potentially. And Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that money can be used for general fund purposes, like supporting a pool. Am I correct in that? Yeah, the utility tax.
Utility tax, yes.
So, and our utility tax is right now around 29%. So a 1% increase would mean roughly 170 grand. So the study will be done sometime, we're hoping in March, April, which still gives us enough buffer time to, if we wanted to obviously allocate a portion of that money to the pool, depending on how much we want to increase. Now, based on the type of ratepayer you are, there will be differing levels of increases, but that is another option we're looking at. And again, I want the public to know that we're looking at scenarios and not just kind of twiddling our thumbs going, oh my gosh. So that is something that we're trying to find. I've had community members that I'm going to work with. So I'm diligently trying to turn over every rock because, I know it means a lot to the kids. And when you see them come in here, it breaks your heart when they want to use the pool. And we certainly are responsive to that, and we are diligently working on that. So I want the council to know, and some of these things, the CDBG just came to fruition this morning, so we're going to work on that, and actually had a good conversation with the city manager at Yakima because we meet via Zoom every other Monday, and YB-COG actually has some good insights on CDBG funding. So hopefully I'm crossing my fingers that can come to fruition in some capacity, even if we can fund it for 1 year. So I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but again, working on different options.
Well, and I like that idea because we had talked last week about putting on the agenda in March at a study session, examination, how we're going to get that pool open again. And so if that study comes back in time, we can bring that up at the same time and talk about that. We've all experienced from the community a great deal of input on both the pool and the community center. And they pretty strongly want those facilities open. I think the community uses them, they use them well, and they're very committed to those. And I think we need to respect that. I know the temptation is to close the pool. And what I've seen in the past is when a pool closes, it stays closed. And I'm really concerned about our swim team. I know I've invested a lot of my time in it. My family's invested a lot of their time in it. Mr. Dolan over there, I know you've invested a lot of time in that pool. And I would be concerned that that swim team is an amazing asset that this city has for our kids. And if we close the pool for a year, the team goes away, and will it ever come back? And I do not want to risk that. That is something that is so important for the people involved in that and the community volunteers, the kids that are involved in it. It's just an amazing asset. So I don't want that to fall off our radar. And yeah, I might make myself kind of a pain in the rear about it, but I want to continue to have these discussions, and the community center is another one that we need to make sure stays on there. So Ms. Hart, did you?
Well, I just wanted to echo that and expand that comment to the community center, because it seems like every time we have some sort of major issue with budget that requires a lot of cuts and stuff, the first thing we want to do is cut out youth programs. And we have just spent so much time rebuilding the programs that are going on out at the community center. Every time that happens, we start seeing a spike in gang activity, because the gangs don't wait around to recruit kids. They're on recruit mode all the time. So if we have things for children to do, as say the pool, as say the community programs out at, you close it, the parents got to find something for their kids to do. We lose those programs, we lose those kids. I just think we also, in March, if we can, come back, take a fresh look at it and see if some of that money through the CBD and the YVCOG, however we can do that, because I think both of those programs are just really important to our community. I mean, it should be rented out more. People should pay money to use it because it's a good facility. I know we do that with the pool. I think that we need to really promote that in our marketing plans as we go forward too. I mean, not many communities have Olympic-sized swimming pools in their backyard.
So
And
I'm gonna rein you back in at this
I know.
point, because we are talking about budget amendment for 2024, and I think we've sort of gone off the rails here.
Thank you.
And so it's easy to do because
Yes.
it turns into a conversation,
Very passionate
and we're all
about
passionate about this. Yes, Ms. Ripley.
Guess I won't mention, what about the senior center, huh?
Senior center is also something that
I
needs to
mean,
be
they're
done.
all important.
That's
It's hard to choose,
Mhm.
make a decision.
And again, that's an item for the 25 budget, and we're talking about the 24 budget amendment. Somehow or another, we got into next year, and I'm as guilty as the rest of us. So, any more comments on this budget amendment that is before us? We knew it was going to be a brutal
Mr. Mayor?
amendment. Yes, sir.
Just, I know we just received these documents, but is there a way to update the ones online so the members of the public could also see the numbers?
I should think that would be fairly simple to do.
Yes, any handouts that council receives, I always attach it, re-upload it, and I put a document that says these documents were handouts at the meeting. So yeah,
Okay.
it will be included.
Thank you.
Good deal.
All right. Yeah. Well, but as I was saying, then we knew this was going to be a tough amendment, and it is. But I think this is probably the most clear vision in the last several months that we've had of our situation. And so I appreciate the work that the subcommittee on finance has been doing in this, and our finance director. Thank you for your diligence in going line by line on these items in so many of these areas. It is, as one member of the public said, yes, like the back of a cereal box. It's a lot of very small information, and not quite sure where it all comes from and where it's all going and why it's where it is, but you guys are beginning to slowly make sense of it. And it is my hope that we can get through 24, put it behind us, and get a good clean slate for 25. This has not been a fun year for any of us. So are there any comments or questions from council remaining? Ms. Ripley.
What about the curfew? Are we going to bring that back, or?
The curfew is something that we're going to talk about under a different heading. That will come up briefly tonight, but.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's going to be in my.
Okay.
Information from council, so. Okay,
So what do we need to do now?
what is the desire of council on this item? We have a amendment proposal before us. We need to vote on this.
Move to approve?
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion from Councilor Ripley, second by Deputy Mayor to adopt an ordinance amending the 2024 budget. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. I too vote aye. Motion passes.
All right.
All right, items from council members, mayor's appointments for boards and commissions. It is unfortunate that it's still titled that way because it is the Rules Committee that appoints to boards and commissions. The mayor brings it as just part of the agenda, but it's the Rules Committee that backs the agenda or backs those decisions. And so we do have names before us. The Rules Committee will be meeting on Wednesday morning. One of the items that we'll be talking about is people who have applied for boards and commissions. That was put on hold during all of our work on the rules of procedure. And I'll touch on that briefly again, Ms. Frausto, because I know you've got some things to add to that. But also one of the things that we're going to talk about on Wednesday is a public safety meeting that we're meeting. And of course, we have not confirmed with Mr. Beeler yet that he can be there, but we're hoping to meet at 8 o'clock Wednesday morning.
It's on my calendar.
Okay, so you did hear about it. Okay. So we're going to meet on that. And one of the items is going to be the curfew and other items that we talked about in public safety. So that is coming up. Rules Committee will also, well, we've got before us, we did the rules of procedure in the month of October and September, and we spent a fair amount of time on that. It came before council for comment, and then it hasn't come back for council for a final vote yet because of the timing of all sorts of things happened. The clerk was gone for 2 weeks on vacation, and then Thanksgiving, and then the lighted parade. The clerk and I have not had time to get together. And so we will schedule a date. I know Ms. Frausto has indicated that she will be absent for certain meetings in January, and I have to keep an eye on my schedule because I will be absent at a certain period of time as well. So we have a window of, I think it's a meeting after the 13th, which would be what, the 20th? Or somewhere like that. The 20th. So we will put that on the agenda for the 20th of January to make sure that that gets discussed, because I believe that all of us want full council to be there to approve and discuss the rules of procedure. Am I correct on that, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
I'll be gone that day.
Oh, okay.
Man, we almost.
Yeah, that's the downside. We're all part-time council members and we all have full-time lives. And so I will attempt to get with the clerk as soon as I possibly can, and we will go over that and make sure that we've got all the things that council brought forward in the meeting. And if we can get to that for next Monday discussion, we will try to do that, but I cannot make a hard and fast promise on that, council. My schedule gets a little crazy just before Christmas, so. All right. Other reports, announcements, and/or questions by council. Mr. Beeler.
Christmas parade. It was one of the best ones we've had. I've had so many people that have lived here and come up and told me it was one of the best ones they can remember having here. And it was cold, but it wasn't too cold. It stopped raining for the parade, so that was nice. And I still have my voice.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right, Ms. Vasquez.
Yeah, so I do got a couple of things. I did send Jackie an email. I don't know if she received it. And I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's important to share that with you all. So I attended the children's parade this weekend. And yeah, she's the one who, that's Audrey. She actually is the one who came to do on it. And she made, yes, and she made that poster. So I wanted to just bring it to everyone's attention because it's something that she had around the community. And she put, all I want for Christmas is my public pool. And she was going around that night having everyone sign her forms, which is what she handed right over to you. So I just wanted to share that with you all. Also with the kids parade, it was a really good turnout. It could be, and I just want to say a huge shout out to Dana Smith because she has gone above and beyond, going around to businesses, asking for donations. She's actually created her own Sunnyside events committee, and she has a whole board where they've actually put in a lot of time and thought into creating this event for the community. And it's something that she's done, and it's just been really beautiful to see. And I actually was there. I was there the whole time that they were giving away free gifts and presents to the kids, and a lot of the parents stayed till the very end, and a lot of them actually said that they were just really happy that their kids were able to get really big prizes. Some of them got Nintendo Switches and basketball hoops. They got bikes, and the kids were so excited. So it was something really beautiful. And I just also wanted to just give her a huge thank you, and for us to also, all of us, just do our part to continue to invite our community out. It is, I believe, the second or third, or I'm not sure exactly how many years she's been doing it, but it's fairly new. 11 years.
Been around a little while.
Yeah, the actual lighted kids is about 10 years old.
Okay, yes, but I know the committee is at least fairly new, so I know that she just wanted all of us to kind of get the word out on the committee as well. So I just wanted to say thank you to her. I was able to make it to the chili feed with the fire department. I was able to take my grandma and my mom, and the chili was super good. I got chili and a chili dog. So thank you guys for your time and for staying out there because it was freezing cold. And the implemented parade was very, very nice, and it was super packed. It went well for everyone. I talked to a lot of business owners, and they all were very thankful, and they just said, we just love the turnout. So I wanted to echo that to you all. And I also just wanted to announce Brunch with Santa. That's an event that's still going to happen here in Sunnyside in the community center. That's going to take place this Sunday, December 15th. It's going to be $5 per person, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Miss Sunnyside Court will be there. There will be brunch. You can get pictures with Santa. There'll be crafts, games. The children will be able to write letters to Santa, and there will be stories with Mrs. Claus. So I just wanted to share that, and hope you guys can all make it.
Thank you. Ms. Ripley.
Okay, I went to the lighted parade, but I watched it on TV this year. That was the first time I did that. I couldn't find a parking place. I got there too late, but it was awesome watching it on TV. And there was a business who was wanting to know about the road closures. They did not hear when the road closures were, and they had business, people coming in. And so I tried to find that info for them. And it would be nice if flyers were sent out to the businesses, letting them know what roads are going to be closed. And and then at the mall, there was what was it called? Merrymaking Crafts, or it was the Sopranos put on a...
Seroptimus.
Oh,
it's a hard word. It's a hard word.
It started with an S.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very nice. I was there Saturday and Sunday. And that's all I have.
All right. Ms. Frausto.
Yeah, I have a couple things. So, over on Saturday, I did get a couple messages, and I did tell the residents that I would bring it up. As much as everybody loved the parade, there was also some complaints, and so I think the problem was that it was the RVs that are parking a certain way at like the high school, so it was like blocking off the cars. So not everybody was actually able to come in and like park because the way the RVs were parked up. So I'm just passing this along. So I don't know if it's something that we can consider for next year, or if it's just the way it is. But I think it was blocking off the cars is over at the high school. They were like parked horizontally instead of parking vertically. I saw a video of it. I was gonna pass it along to the city manager. So just doing my due diligence of passing on some of the messages. And then I also took my pups out to the vet, which is behind the Little Caesars, and so the staff there and some of the doctors, talked about us losing our animal control officer and how hard it's been lately. And they actually sent a lot of kudos to Megan because she was a big help to them, and now they really don't have anybody to rely on when when they're in need of calling someone. They said a day doesn't go by when there isn't a dog being dropped off at that local vet, and they don't know what else to do other than the next time they get a phone call, they're going to send them over to City Hall. And so I was like, well, maybe that's not a good idea. let's get in conversation about this. And they do want to be in conversation about, finding a solution. They, as in the clinic staff and the doctors, and them being the only vet in the city as well. So they do want to be part of the resolve. So it's not just about sending out a complaint, but also trying to be a part of the solution as we move forward with the next year, trying to keep it a top priority. I know that animal issues is a huge thing in our community that we're trying to tackle. And I did pass it on to city manager, and I know that the conversation is going to continue soon. So also passing that on. And then I concur with Councilor Vasquez. The chili was amazing. So shout out to the fire departments being out there serving the chili. I ran into Santa Claus along the way, and it was really, really great. And I know that you had a really great idea for next year. Maybe you can speak to this, but Chief Hobrick is thinking of doing a raffle next year, and the winner would sit inside of the fire department truck to actually watch the lighted implementer parade. So I told him that would be amazing, and I'm in full support of it. So yeah, and I didn't make it back to the truck that night, but hopefully I will win the raffle next year and I get to get in and sit in there. But that's it for me.
Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I just want to echo everything Councilor Vasquez said, and it's, a lot of events going on, the kids parade, everything that was mentioned. This Wednesday at noon, the fire station, city managers hosting the Sunnyside Business Advisory Council meeting. Just want to invite all the business owners out there. Miss Ripley, the business owners that, reached out about the flyers. I had a good suggestion to the mayor. Maybe we could have a list of all the business owners with their email, contact information. That way we could, shoot out a email blast of all these events going on. Also Wednesday, as the mayor said, the Public Safety Subcommittee is meeting at 8 to go over the curfew ordinance. And hopefully we could bring that back to council soon after that. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Hart.
Man, stealing the thunder out there. It was so cool. It was such a great weekend. Everything that was going on, all the different bazaars, the Seroptimus Merrymakings Bazaar has been going on for about 30 years. For, as long as the parade, the lighted implement parade almost. And so those are just great things. I love it that it's telefied. I was along with you, Miss Ripley. I also was watching it via the TV in the comfort of my heated chair with my dogs in my lap. But it was a great parade. So it was a little bit too cold for me out there, but it was a really good weekend, and all the work that everybody did. I think the tree down at the bandstand turned out to look really pretty. Thanks for everybody who worked on that. That turned out really nice. And the RVs that park along they've been doing that about 30 years too. And sometimes they've been trailers, sometimes they've been the big RVs, and they always have their big window facing out, so that's why they go horizontal instead of vertically. But I saw the RVs parked clear down around Lawn Justice, almost to the Lawn Justice, along Zilla and First Street, which I've never seen before. So that was pretty cool. So they're spreading out. But it was a great weekend, and thanks to everybody who volunteered their time to make it such a great time. And thanks for the extra patrol downtown, Chief. That was very awesome too. And I think it gave people quite a bit of comfort to know that was going on as well. That's all I have.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I just want to echo what all my colleagues have said about this past weekend. It was an awesome, awesome weekend. It was very well done. Kudos to all of the volunteers, to Ms. Niemeyer as the Grand Marshal of the parade. That was really cool for you to be able to do that. And, I got to drive the Gator ahead of the kids parade, and that was kind of fun. It wasn't cold. I did not feel cold at all until I started driving that Gator. And then it suddenly, at 2 miles an hour, I got cold. But it was a whole lot of fun. A lot of kids, and they really did a nice job. Got to participate a little bit in the tree lighting. But manager got to light the tree actually. There was an app. Person who decorated the tree did an amazing job. Just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, all those volunteers, everybody who was involved in all of that, you guys did a great job. I'm not even going to try to go down names. I saw so many of you out there, and just congratulations to all of you. You guys did, that was just awesome. The parade on Saturday was a lot of fun. I always like to sit there in that first block from the gazebo there. Normally I like to sit right in front of the gazebo, but this time I was a little bit further down, and yeah, it's fun to watch. You can see them coming down Edison for so long, and they just kept on coming. I think we had over 70 entries, and they were so well done. So, and I know there was one entry that didn't start, so we were even down one. The kids were telling me the next day, says, yeah, it sat there in the parking lot overnight because it wouldn't start that night. But it was an antique tractor. They sometimes do that. So just to clarify, the events committee has been around for a few years. I know they've done things like 4th of July runs and that sort of stuff. So it's been around. It kind of faded away a little bit and then revitalized again. And so, Dana Smith has done a really nice job with all of that. So thank you for mentioning her name. You got one more thing to say?
Yeah, and I wanted to say something else. So I do know that I agree with Councilor Ripley. I did get a lot of complaints as well. And me being a business owner right there in downtown as well, the garbage, there was a lot of garbage everywhere downtown, and it was like that all day Sunday. And maybe that's something that we can also work on. And I know, who is it, Killian? He will be in charge of the parade next year. Carter. So maybe if, I don't know, maybe there could be some volunteers in the night or in the morning, so we could just kind of clear out downtown, because I know Sunday is a day of family, and there were a lot of customers kind of coming in and saying, wow, it looks like trashed out there in downtown.
Over full or?
Yeah, so the can right outside mine was like this much overstacked, and all the trash cans there were hot coffee cups all over the floor, and
Well, quite
for
often
it to be like that the whole day,
Quite often the organizers will have a crew out there the morning after right away, and for whatever reason this year it didn't happen. I'm sure that they will correct that next year.
Yes, and I also wanted to just also make a comment. So when the police, they did their trunk or treat, one of their police officers came around to all the downtown businesses, actually handing out flyers, and with a lot of time in advance. I want to say 2 to 3 weeks in advance. They told us, we just want to let you guys know that we will be closing the roads at this time. So a lot of businesses were really thankful because you guys did that. So also just something like that would be really appreciated, because then business owners are able to kind of tell their employees to park somewhere else and kind of help get that sorted out beforehand.
Good observations. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I think we're all united in our joy and appreciation for the work that was done over this past weekend. So thanks to everyone involved in that, whether you're here in person or watching this online later on. Upcoming council meetings, Madam City Clerk.
All right, so our next meeting will be a special meeting instead of a study session, only because we're expecting action. And so you have the final budget. Oh, no, that was done today. So you'll have the 2025 final budget hearing and then adoption afterwards. You'll also be discussing animal control and a youth council and holding an executive session. I just added the SMC 2.50.030 for boards and commissions, appointments and confirmation. So you said that our code currently says that it's the mayor that appoints and then council confirms. And I know we discussed that here and that was what we were following. Would you like to amend the code to say that the rules subcommittee appoints and council as a whole confirms?
In practice, over the last year and a half, since June of 23, it has been the rules committee that has worked on those appointments. And so
Would you like to officially change it in our code?
I would say so. I mean, if we're gonna practice it, then we might as well have it in the code.
I think so. Yeah,
So I can put it on for the 16th. I'll leave it there.
okay, that would be good.
And then looking forward in January, our study session is being canceled, and in place, we will have a police and fire swearing in ceremony. And then January 13th is the regular meeting and the SIDC special meeting. You'll also be assigning council subcommittees, but I can move that after for a different meeting if you'd like, when all members are here.
I think so, because I'd like to discuss with council about those subcommittees, because in fact, I'm sure that there's a couple of council members who absolutely do not want to change committees, or they're kind of committed where they are and they're really feeling like they're doing something. So, but at the same time, there may be council members who want to jump into some of these committees where they haven't been. And so we need to discuss that, and we can do that, I think in the meeting after the 20th, which is the 27th. 26, somewhere in there.
Also, Mr. Mayor, on December, the last meeting, should we add the ARPA discussion there? The resolution?
We have to have some of those funds committed. We have to have all of them committed by the end of this year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that should be on the meeting on the 16th.
When are those meetings? I can't even see.
December 16th.
Okay.
Number 16 is next.
My vision is not there.
Next week. Okay, so we've got an agenda for next week.
We got
It's coming Monday.
agenda there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. If things need to be added to the agenda, please speak to manager or myself or the clerk to get those things added. Please do that the Monday, 1 week before the meeting where you'd like to have that on the agenda. And keep in mind also that we are intending to not have meetings after the 16th for the 2024 year, allowing staff and council a bit of a break from meetings. Ms. Sable, it looks like you have something to
I
jump in.
do. We probably need a resolution also canceling the next two meetings.
Okay, do we need that tonight or do we need that
No,
next Monday?
At the next.
Next Monday, yes.
We can add that on there.
A resolution to cancel those meetings.
We have not done that in the past, and our code states the last meeting.
Okay, then that's
But
awesome.
it's up to you.
Nope.
We have had a resolution in the past. I remember doing that a few years ago, but we don't have to necessarily if it's not going to be in violation of our code. Maybe do a little research. If it needs to be there, you can put it on the agenda. And if it doesn't need to be there, then we don't have to worry about it.
I will do that right now.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. City manager reports.
And I think council stated it well, what an awesome job it was between the kids parade and the lighted implement parade. So it was my first one in person. And I can say I was like a little kid on Saturday when I went around and looked at the implements. So, thank you to Carter Killian. Britton was really gracious. They let me go around before the event and look at things. And I even got to meet Deb Estrada, our old clerk, and I thanked her for training Jackie so well. So that was nice. But just a few people to thank, Dana Smith, John Nybor, who's also a part of the events committee, and he does a lot. Also city staff, and not to throw a wet blanket on things, but, I think when you look at the parade, we put a lot of effort and money into it. So between the clerk, and I'll defend her a little bit on the messaging of the closing, it was on social media, it was on our website, and I know not everybody's on there, but I agree we need to be intentional about getting out there and letting people know. So what we're going to do, council, is I've ordered a cost analysis from each department, because when you look at the cost of the parade, we had 20 police officers. We had a lot of fire personnel out there. The efforts that our clerk made in her public relations duties, public works that closed and opened and closed the roads, the permitting and the economic development department that had to chase around Rotary, for all these different functions. So my point is, we probably invest, and I'm just guessing here, I bet you 30, 40, 50,000 to put these events on. And it's something, when I look at the connectivity piece, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, like in terms of the marketing, and how it's recognized more as a Rotary parade. And, there's not the alignment that I would like to see. And we're also spending a tremendous amount of money. And when you add up 50 plus a year times 10 years, that's $500,000 that we put into it, which, we give LTAC dollars to the Rotary, and those dollars could be put back into paying for police officers, paying for safety initiatives, paying for fire. So that's the city manager in me. Like, I truly appreciate all the efforts that Rotary does. I mean, it was just, wow, what an incredible event. So I just take my hat off to Sierra and the whole midday Rotary group, because they do a tremendous job. But I would like to see more alignment between city and Rotary, and how do we make it cost effective using the tools like LTAC that we have in place, so we don't take from the general fund, because it's the taxpayers that are funding that parade. So we forget about that. The residuals, they go to the businesses. We get sales, we get that sales tax dollars, but so sort of the city manager in me has to kind of look at the fiscal impact of it. So that's something we're going to do, and bring council report sometime early in the new year, so we can say, we spent X amount on police, X amount on fire, X amount on public works, X amount in the economic development department, X amount of dollars, helping market. So that's something that I definitely want to do. Only other thing I wanted to bring up, we've talked about the pool. And I'm taking measures and really working hard to hopefully find funding. And I do think utility tax is something that the public would be supportive of. But the community center has been a hot topic. So I met, this morning, or actually for coffee, over at Snipes today with the pickleball group. So there's definitely a desire for the community to continue utilizing the facility. The question becomes, Debbie and I were talking about this morning. There's sort of a verb that's going around. We use the community center, versus do we rent the community center? So, and where is that balance between, because I think right now there's a certain perception, we pay our taxes, we should be able to use it, right? Or do we rent it for a nominal fee? And, it would be my desire and strong desire to keep programming the community center. So I need to, I've been intending to reach out to Sherry from the senior center, because maybe there's some programs that can be utilized in the community center that are synergistic. But anyway, I'll talk to each of you in our one-on-ones to kind of get a feel of what's the council's desire on continuing to use the community center if and when we close it, and how that looks. Because do we want to shutter it and let the dust go in there, or do we want to utilize it? Because the fact of the matter is, a lot of groups are just, they have a little code and they walk in and they use it. They have a code, they play basketball, and there's no staff oversight. And so that was the surprising thing for me as city manager, though. We let people play basketball in there. So I think there's also that knowledge in the community. Well, why wouldn't you let us continue that? Because we never interacted with staff anyway. We were there off hours or at different times. So that's something I'd like to have a discussion with the group. And maybe that's something we put on the next agenda. We've got one more we only got one more in this year, which, gosh, this year has gone by fast. But I think it's a discussion we need to have, because it still costs money to run the community center, and we've got to keep it up. But there is that strong desire in the community to keep it going in some capacity. So I sort of wanted to throw that out there for food for thought for next meeting. That's all I've got, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, we do not have an executive session for this evening, which means we have reached the end of our agenda. There being no further business to come before council, and if there's no objection, we are adjourned at 20:08. That must be 8:08 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll see you next week, Monday.
What did I do for an executive session?
One moment, Counselor Hart. Microphones are still live.